Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 18 of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, stay in tune for What If Naruto was raised by the Hyuga clan, and enjoy that guys. And I also posted a new episode of What If Naruto Pushed Himself to His Limit, so go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you all for your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So the last time we left off, Konan and Naruto was on the bridge. The reason why he was called a bastard is supposed to be because his parents didn't get married before having a child. As Konan told him that he was Uzumaki, now he could change that law. But he said that the clan houses will had his head for that. But she just scoffed at him. They couldn't do anything. And if they didn't want to go against it, he just had to let some head rules. But he refused from killing any one of his members. As the both of them spent the entire night talking, and gotten rather close, as Naruto had assigned her to the mission to take down Kumo, and he will be there after she bring down the ships, as he and the assault team would then erase everything inside. Meanwhile that was going on, back at Konoha, Hiruzen was surprised when they caught out Uzumaki trying to sneak into Konoha to attack the village. As he went there, he saw the Uzumaki tied up in a chair, but he then saw the man's throat slash. He was dead. Before he could do anything, he was stabbed through the back by Orochimaru. The two envoys that came with him was also cut down, as Danzo and the others drive a sword right through his chest. He could only ask why, as Danzo told him that with his love, he had failed Konoha, and he could not stand for it anymore. And there, Hiruzen and Sarutobi fall. Meanwhile, Konan and the others, they deploy straight on Kumo, as they start to wipe out all the ships. Debatsu was surprised when he saw Kumo shinobis, a lot of them, but then they smiled at him. It was the Zetsus. They could turn into anyone that they touch just by taking a bit of their chakra. These were amazing for assassination missions, as they went inside and destroyed the naval fleet. Meanwhile, Naruto was having a conflict as he was ready to go out, but now he saw Tsunade Senju and Jiraiya. As he was surprised to see them here. These two were from Konoha. They were here as representatives, as they wanted peace. Tsunade came to talk to Naruto, but Naruto said there can be no peace. So there was only one thing she could do, as she vowed that if anything go wrong, she will stand beside the Uzumakis no matter what. As that is her pledge to him. He couldn't turn her away because the Uzumakis, even though she was a Senju as well, they still went down in blood. She was also a Uzumaki by blood, given from Mito. As Tsunade was yet again shocked when he turned her down. So the only thing she could do was a risky one. She saw all of her friends, Dan, their faces flash in front of her eyes. As she pulled a kunai, she would give her life to make sure no war happened between them. As she brought it down towards her heart, Jiraiya and Kushner rushed over as they were shouting for her to stop, but she felt no pain. As she saw Naruto place his hand away as kunai stabbed him right in his hand. He took the kunai from her. Seeing her resolve, he told her in 4 days he will come and talk to Hiruzen Sarutobi himself then. As a sigh of relief washed over her, at least she could get them talking, and then Hiruzen explained to the boy, and they can come under some understanding, so the Uzumakis will not be wiped out. Because she knew if the Uzumakis were to go up against Konoha, it would be a disaster. So yeah guys, that was basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it over yourself. So what do you say we begin this new episode? This is madness. Naruto remained seated as Lord Irima was pissed off. Yaiko was also angry, but he wasn't losing control. While Lord Irima was furious, he smashed his fist into a nearby wall. "You promised us justice, Lord Fort. This is not justice," he yelled. His glare might have terrified his very man, but Naruto remained unfazed by it. "I have made my decision," Naruto said. "This is my will. Will you obey or will you revolt?" he asked directly. For a long minute, Irima glared at him, but the clan values were too strong. He simply bowed. "You have my loyalty and of this clan. But you are making a mistake," Irima said. "Your opinion has been noted, Lord Irima," Naruto said. For a moment he saw Akeno. She would have fumed just like Irima. Why did he remind her so much? But before he could think more on that, he was cut off in his thoughts as Irima started to walk away. He then stopped at the door. "Your honor shall be your downfall, Lord Fort," he said as he left. "You have ruffled quite a few feathers," said Yaiko. "I know," said Naruto. Why? Why are you doing this?" "I promised my father that I would give Konoha one chance to make things right. One chance to punish those guilty." And he didn't stop, for the last promise was never to reveal to anyone. Yaiko must have sensed his discomfort, so he didn't press on. "Do you trust Konoha?" "Only a fool would trust them," Naruto said. Yaiko blinked in surprise. "But you just said..." "I know what I agreed to. I am doing this for my father and to give honorable people like Tsunade one last opportunity. In my heart, I don't have much hope though. But I will honor my promise to my father. But I will not make the same foolish mistake again." "How?" Yaiko asked. "Zetsu." On his command, a white creature emerged from the floor with a sickly smile. As an Akatsuki member, Yaiko came to know all that happened in the cave. He still found it hard to believe that Naruto killed Madara Uchiha, but Naruto wouldn't lie about something like that. "Yes, my lord," said White Zetsu. "Have 3,000 of your brothers surround Castle Storm, or the meeting shall be held. Remain hidden, but the moment you see any Konoha forces approach or hidden apart from the Hokage and his small escorts, kill them all," Naruto said. "What about the Hokage?" asked Zetsu. "This meeting is a threat to him as it is to me. I want to believe Tsunade, but I know how twisted this world is. I fear I may have to kill Hiruzen Sarutobi after all." Yaiko was stunned. How could he forget the other side of his friend? The one that acted as Akatsuki leader. The one that staged ambush. "Naruto, you," said Yaiko. "I know the risk, Yaiko. That is why Lord Irima and Hidan should accompany me with some good Uzumaki fighters. I'll also have Kisame leading the ambush if things go south. Jiraiya and Tsunade has to come, and so does my mother, because the Hokage want to see her alive." "You planned this all out, haven't you?" "Yes," said Naruto. "Then why didn't you tell Lord Irima?" "He will know about the trap I set when time is right," said Naruto. "Then shall I come?" asked Yaiko. "No," said Naruto. Naruto pointed at the shinobi map. "You will lead the 2,000 Zetsu clones guarding Uzu, together with Lord Hoshi and Lord Irima's son, Shin. You will go to the north and strike Kumo. You are now the Lord Commander of this army," said Naruto. Yaiko was even more shocked hearing that. But he got over his shock. "I will not leave you," he said. "In such important hours, you are going straight into the lion den. You may trust Arima and the others, but Akeno, Nagato, Hiyatsuke, Daibatsu, and Konan are not here. I cannot leave you to go alone. You are my friend, my leader, my brother. After all that you have done for me, I can't allow you to walk on your own into the enemy's den. I need you to have some faith in me, Yaiko," Naruto said. "I'm doing this for you. There is nobody else that I trust to help our friends fight in Kumo. Hoshi and Shin are too hungry for blood, and they might make stupid mistakes. But you have less stake in getting revenge, so I ask you to be the Lord Commander." "Why are you sending us all away?" asked Yaiko sadly. As Yaiko saw that Naruto was sending everyone away, his friends, old or new. "It is necessary," said Naruto. He saw that Yaiko did not like his answer, but he could tell them the truth. None of them would understand. Perhaps Nagato would, but not the rest. This war was going to be long and bloody, and only the gods knew what the future held for them. But the clan, the village, the alliance he was building with the Hidden Rain, his revolution, and most of all his friends, they were his legacy. Yaiko looked up proudly. "Then I will accomplish your dream. Your flag will soar across Kumo," proudly he said. Getting a smile from Naruto. "I'll take my leave now," he said, as Naruto nodded, as Yaiko gave him a small bow. When he was gone, Naruto turned towards Zetsu. Make Yaiko the leader of the Akatsuki if I should fall. As he gave Zetsu a scroll. If he die or refuse, then Kisame shall take up the mantle. You all shall carry on a revolution. And if Lord Arima fall, or does not take up the mantle, then I name Nagato Uzumaki the Fifth. Zetsu gave a nod. As Naruto turned to leave, Zetsu spoke. We have seen many men in our time on this earth. I pray what you do you emerge victorious, said Zetsu. I will get justice for us all, Naruto said, one way or another, as he started to walk away. The next day, two groups stood outside of Uzo. One was a large army ready to march towards war. The other one was going to end the war. Few thousand Zetsus had arrived overnight to take the ones that were leaving towards Kumo. Uzo was protected with a large army, defenses secured, and Lady Tuka in charge. He looked at his own group and saw Kushina, Tsunade, and Jiraiya ready to go, and Lord Arima and a few Uzumaki guards. For the first time, his mother gave him an approving smile. Her happiness that he was trying to make peace was not a great secret. She was happy for this. Hidan had a scowl on his face, but he stood by Naruto's side, ready to kill anyone in a single command. Across from them stood Yaiko as he was dressed in his battle armor, as Hoshi and Shin was beside him. Naruto walked forward as he held up his hand as Yaiko grasped his hand, the both of them smiling. Till I return, said Naruto. Yaiko moved forward and gave him a hug, as Naruto hugged him back and pat him on the back. I believe in you, Yaiko, Naruto whispered, as they break the hug, as Yaiko gave him a proud nod. As Naruto went over towards Ghost as he hopped on his wolf. With one last smile they took off. May we meet again, Yaiko said. Time skip. Naruto and Kushina were on the sea. As they were on the deck of their ship. Tired, she asked, as she saw the look on his face. A little, he said. I still don't know if this is the right choice. He stopped himself. Didn't want to reveal his doubt to anyone. But she placed a hand on his shoulder. In every man's life, they have to choose between something they love and something others love. It's the most difficult choice and requires sacrifice only the strongest hearts can bear, she said. She then saw him went quiet as he spoke softly. Will you leave me again, he asked. He hated to sound so vulnerable, but he had to ask. Never, she said. The rest of my life is for you, she promised. I'll hold you to it, he said. I have missed you for so long, my son. I have missed so much of your life, but I want to make up for it. All I want to see is you happy. He nodded. It was so good to talk to her like this, because of that coldness that had seeped between them for the last few days. As he asked her about Hirzun, she told him that Hirzun was a man of honor. He remembered the same thing from the Uzukage, that Hirzun was a kind, gentle man who was offering to take in the people. He would just have to wait and see for himself. But he is still not going to be naive by words. The next day, the weather was gloomy. The thick, dark clouds prevented any sunlight from touching this army. As they arrived at Casa Storm, Tsunade stretched her senses to try and find out if Naruto has placed anyone to try and ambush Konoha leaders. She knew that he was a cunning boy, and she knew how much he hated Konoha. She saw Jiraiya glance around for looking for any chops, to see if any chaps were waiting for their teacher, Sarutobi. Kushina and Naruto's party was looking around for the Uzukage as well, looking for any chops of their own. They should be here, said Tsunade with a frown. Patience, Tsunade. The weather is not so good and traveling by ship is dangerous, said Jiraiya. She sighed. I just want this madness to be over. We are already at war with the Hidden Sand. We must achieve peace by any cost. We need the backing of the Uzumakis. Jiraiya looked over at Naruto with a small glare. As he turned back to Tsunade, that may be true, but that boy, he killed many of our own people. He killed Kagami. He killed Kakashi. He led me not to just walk to his death. Will you just forget all of that? If Konoha truly make amends, will he not be held responsible for his crimes? Jiraiya asked bitterly. Jiraiya, she said. I speak the truth, Tsunade. He may be Minato's son, but we are Konoha ninja and it's our duty to protect the village. I want peace like you, but there is some common grounds. And what do you think we must achieve in this meeting? And what if it fails, she asked. But he said nothing. She clenched her fist. She expected this from Orochimaru but not him. As she turned to walk away but he spoke, it stopped her cold in her tracks. If you betray the village, I'll kill you, he said. She turned and looked at him. She would have been devastated if she didn't notice his eyes, his trembling lips as he said those words. She knew how he felt for her ever since the academy, but she was in love with another. Yet, that never stopped Jer from supporting her, from being her friend, despite everything. But, if one thing was definite, he was loyal to Konoha till his last bone. Regardless of leadership or anything, he would stand by Konoha and obey, because he was a Konoha ninja, through thick and thin. But yet Tsunade knew how dangerous Naruto was, how cruel he was, but she saw hope in that boy. For a new world to be created, one must be willing to change. Do your duty, she said. It felt strange to say that to him, as she knew she had to free him to do what he wanted, because she was going to do what she wanted. As Jiraiya was stunned, he was left speechless as she walked away. Meanwhile, Naruto watched Hidan return back from the woods, having sent Hidan to check out the white Zetsus. As Naruto saw Hidan, that grim look on his face, Hidan bowed. What is it? Naruto asked. My lord, your humble servants are in position, ready to fight for you, as soon as you give the command. And Naruto asked, knowing that there must be something wrong. Kisame is not here to lead those men of yours, said Hidan. Naruto clenched his fist. He had given Kisame a direct order to lead the 3,000 Zetsus in case of treachery. He had stressed the importance of this meeting, and yet Kisame was not here. For a single moment he felt vulnerable, without his loyal comrade. He might have Lord Arima, few Uzumakis, and the Zetsus, and even his mother, and Tsunade's loyalty. But that was enough? Was it? He shook his head. He must carry on, no matter what. It was his duty after all. Have our men surround the castle, Naruto said. And if anything happens, make them... Hidan's eyes went wide, as Naruto turned and looked to see. Behind him, looking out at the vast ocean, he saw a single ship, as it was followed by another, and another and another, until it spread over the entire sea. 100 fleets, bearing 2 flags, Kiri and Konoha. The two most unlikely villages that hated each other now stood by each other's side. He saw hundreds of men ready to fight, sporting the headbands of Kiri and Konoha. Your honor shall be your downfall. Those words rang in his head. He regret not listening to Lord Arima, but it was already done and there was nothing that could change that. He looked to see his companions were shocked as well. Lord Arima gave him a glare, and he thought for a moment that Lord Arima was going to desert him for leading them into this. But because of the motto of their clan, family, honor and duty, Lord Arima stepped forward to the Uzumakis and stood behind him. Despite the grave mistake that he made, they were going to serve their leader no matter what. There was no point in running. All they had was one ship, and they couldn't outrun that large fleet. He didn't know how Konoha managed to form an alliance with Kiri so quick. Well, Kisame did told him that the Mitsukage was fighting a civil war in his own country, so he needed whatever he could get. Well played, Naruto thought. This was not the work of an honorable man, but one that is willing to crush their enemies with every single dirty trick. Either Hiruzen Sarutobi had changed, or the others lie about what kind of man he truly was, or he was killed by his own soldiers. 4. His treaty with Uzu. His eyes then landed over towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked over towards his village, seeing the flag proudly. He then turned back and looked at Naruto, as the both of them exchanged a single nod. As Jiraiya stepped back, it was then Tsunade, as her eyes looked over at Naruto and then at Jiraiya, the both of them waiting for her to make her choice. Whatever choice she made would change everything in her life forever. But yet, she reached up and removed her Konoha headband. As she stared at it bitterly, without waiting any further, she crushed it. Jiraiya looked broken as he looked towards Tsunade. As she didn't meet his eyes, he turned as he rushed towards the approaching army. Kushina was stunned as she couldn't believe what she was seeing. But it then happened. Thousands of Akatsuki members coming out of the vast woods, emerging like they weren't even there. As Naruto stepped forward, the soldiers followed in line behind him. Him and his mother met eye. He gave her a grim nod, so this was his trump card in case everything failed. She was angry at him for doing this, but then she realized her own village had betrayed them. As she understood why he brought them, she could see Jiraiya rushing towards the approaching army. Soon enough he would be an enemy, willing to take her life as well. She glanced at Naruto's army. Their number was around 3,000. But when she looked at the other side, her heart froze for a second there. She stepped forward though bravely as she stood beside her son. Hidan and the other Uzumakis were giving her a stern glance. But Naruto gave her a smile. Whatever hesitation or loyalty she had left for Konoha was gone. She was going to protect her child no matter what. The ships came closer and closer to the shore as hundreds of Kiri and Konoha ninjas jumped as they landed on the soil. Snady looked as she saw Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Fukaku Uchiha. There was Sakumo, Hatake, and a few others. Konoha had sent their might to crush them. On the Kiri side was none other than the dangerous 7 Ninja Swordsman. Naruto took in a deep breath as massive fireballs started to launch towards him from the naval fleet. As Naruto turned towards his small army, "Are you with me?" he said. "To the death." A smile graced his face as he heard that roar from everyone behind him. Naruto raised his blade and high as he can in the air as everyone behind him raised their weapon as well. "For Uzu," he said, and with that he charged, with his army right behind him as hellfire consumed his blade. As he pointed forward, releasing several fireballs made of green flames. The first wave of enemy were burned. Their comrades behind them had to stop as they watched them sink into the sea. Not even that could stop the flames from consuming their flesh. He slammed his burning sword in the water, make the dark flames surrounding them from all sides. As he released dark chakra tentacles that started to rip through them. His soldiers rained down several kunais and shurikens, cutting down the enemies. But to Naruto's surprise, his flames vanished. He narrowed his eyes dangerously at Jiraiya, who had sealed away his flames, as Jiraiya glared back at him. The two armies then clashed violently. As Naruto countered a parry from a Konoha Jonin, as he kicked the man on his ankle. Before he could even fall complete, Naruto took off his head. He blocked a rain of kunai with his blade. As two enemies tried to attack him, he ducked under their punches. As he spun with his blade, slicing right through their midsections. Many more charged at him, as they wanted to claim the Uzumaki head for themselves. But they were fools. They didn't know how deadly he was with his blade, as he teared through them, one by one. He saw many Kiri ninjas about to release their deadly mists. Knowing how dangerous that was, Naruto released a violent wind wave that blew all of it away, and all of them into the vast sea. Across the battlefield, he saw Tsunade engaged in a deadly duel with Jiraiya, and he saw his mother clashing against Kiri's swordsman. He was surprised to see her skill in Kenjutsu, and the raw power that she was using to push them back. Lord Arima was fighting furiously against Fukaku and Sakumo by himself. Hidan went on a mad killing spree, slaughtering any fool in his way. Ghost was ripping apart every shinobi that dared to attack him or even come near to him. The rest of his army was clashing against a large force. His eyes there narrowed as he saw something blurring coming towards him. Spinning around, he wasn't fast enough, as he was sent sailing from a kick to the back. Flipping and landing on his feet gently, Naruto turned. It was then his eyes burned with hatred when he saw the man. That man who dared try the experiment on Akeno and the innocent Uzumaki children. "You," he said. Orochimaru looked at Naruto amusedly. "I am Orochimaru, Lord Fort," he said, as he gave a mocking bow. "Where is Hiruzen Sarutobi?" Naruto asked. "Dead," said Orochimaru. One glance, Naruto could see that the man was killed by his own man for doing the right thing. "The era of honor is long gone, my lord." Again, Lord Arima's words struck Naruto as he saw. He was right. If these bastards had killed Hiruzen, there was no hope for peace. Naruto watched a blue sea turn red as blood was leaking everywhere. The Great War that was the fate of this world, and the one that crushed all of them and emerged victorious, will stand on everything tall. Naruto raised his blade towards Orochimaru. "Ready to die?" he asked. "I have a different game in mind," said Orochimaru, as he went through a fast set of hand signs. Naruto rushed to stop what this man was going to do, but Orochimaru slammed his hand down already. A monster shockwave blew away hundreds and many others. A woman screamed. Naruto's heart stopped because he knew that voice, as he knew who it belonged to. As Naruto dashed forward, the sky turned red as an image of a snarling fox appeared. Wave upon wave of foul chakra spreaded, burning people who couldn't get fast away enough. The corrupted chakra reduced the bodies to dust. Man screamed and ran to get away from the monster that had risen. As Naruto looked over, his mother, She was standing on all fours, with 5 tails dancing behind her dangerously. The swordsmen that were fighting her were now by her side, ready to attack him. Orochimaru walked forward and spread his arms wide, with a sick twisted smile on his face. "Let's play," Lord Forty said in a taunting tone. Naruto glanced around as his father's words run through his head. "My blood run in your veins. You're my son." As he looked around at the people, his people with terrified looks on their faces, as they saw the monster's enemy and now his mother in that state. It was time for him to become the true Uzumaki. Orochimaru's smile faded a bit when Naruto didn't even flinch or move the slightest. He was not trembling in fear or nothing. Instead, the boy brought his sword forward and pointed at the 7 ninja swordsmen as a demonic skull came behind him, made from pure darkness. It was then that he vanished in a dark flash. Reiga, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, blood now oozing from his throat, Naruto's sword right into it. Orochimaru's eyes went wide. It can't be. As the rest of the swordsmen saw Reiga collapse down into the sea. Another dark flash and Ringo, another swordsman, head fly off. "Impossible!" Orochimaru yelled. Orochimaru saw it happening in front of his eyes, the famous Irish chain happening. He clenched his fist tight. "Minato," he cursed. So many questions were floating through Orochimaru's mind as he watched 2 swordsmen already cut down by this dangerous boy. Another scream as Ninjutsu got his heart ripped out as Jiraiya ran over to stop the monstrous boy, but Tsunade jumped in his way. Yet Orochimaru had to calm down. It was impossible for someone to learn the Hairyushin so fast, even if he was Minato's son. But he had the 3-pronged kunai. His flashes were dark, but just as fast as his father's. Many Kiri shinobi started to flee, seeing 3 of their mightiest warriors die in seconds. If something was not done to stop that boy, that monster, most of them would die. Danzo had paid quite a lot of gold to the Mizukage for this alliance, and if Orochimaru failed, Danzo would have his head for this. Bring me the boy's head and his mother back to Konoha in chains. That was his order given to him by Danzo. The remaining swordsmen tried to put up a good fight, but they were not fast enough. But Naruto was also wounded as his blood spread across the sea, and that gave it all away. Whenever he reappears, the dark chakra concealing his body vanished. But then, it showed him once more, and he used his natural speed to take on his next target. He is just as fast as his father, but that is not a Hairyushin. He was manipulating their fears to make them see what he wanted them to see. Magnificent, thought Orochimaru. This boy. Orochimaru raised his finger as Kushina charged right towards the Uzumaki force. Orochimaru saw that Naruto slip as he turned his head. Kushimaru stabbed right through Naruto. The Kiri ninja needle must have been laced with poison as Naruto flinched and coughed up blood. Meanwhile, Kushina was tearing apart Akatsuki members, ripping them. Within minutes, this battle would be over. The remaining Kiri swordsman came in to finish Naruto when he was vulnerable, but Ghost jumped in the way, stopping them in their tracks. "I'll handle him," Orochimaru declared. The wolf turned towards Orochimaru. The fact that the wolf could stand on the water showed that it was no normal animal. It could use chakra at an extent. Orochimaru dashed forward his Kusanagi blade, ready to tear the creature apart. But the wolf held his head up high as he howled. Orochimaru dropped down in the sea water, clutching his head. A massive sound wave came from the wolf. Seeing Orochimaru on top of the water, the wolf charged. Orochimaru brought up Kusanagi blade, but he was just not fast enough, as the wolf bit right in his leg. Pain! Orochimaru screamed as the beast tore into his feet, ripping it. Rising in anger as he swung his blade around, gashing a deep cut in Ghost's back. The creature howled in pain as his white fur was soaked in his own blood. He tried to bite Orochimaru again, but he was rewarded by a sharp cut on one of his legs. The wolf then limped away as Orochimaru turned his blade to finish the animal, but a bone-crushing punch smashed into his jaw, delivered by Naruto. Orochimaru was sent sailing, but he flipped and landed on his feet as he coughed up blood along with 3 of his teeth. Naruto was kneeling beside Ghost, trying to stop the bleeding. Orochimaru would have laughed, but he cursed as he saw Kushina. She was trapped in a barrier by Arima and the remaining Uzumaki. Kushina was trying to rip apart the barrier with devastating attacks, but she couldn't, as Hidan was ripping apart the Kiri shinobis. with his sight in his hand. Jiraiya and Tsunade were still engaging each other in a bloody battle. As Orochimaru turned as he saw Kishimaru, who just injured Naruto, now dead on the sea. The rest of the great ninja swordman had fled. Orochimaru couldn't hide his disbelief. The remaining Kiri swordsmen and their ships were ready to leave. Glancing across the battlefield, the once superior allied force that he had was now crumbling. Money and greed. That is what brought them together, unlike these people who were willing to follow Naruto to the death. Orochimaru quickly formed two shadow clones. He can't afford to fail as they rushed towards Naruto and his beasts. "Sakumo!" said Orochimaru as Sakumo sliced through two Akatsuki members. "There is a boy that killed your son. Keep him engaged. Kill him if you can, while I free Kushina," Orochimaru said. The White Fang looked over, seeing the boy that killed Kakashi. He charged. Tsunade yelled out Naruto's name as Naruto tilted his head at the last second as the blade missed him. Orochimaru rushed as fast as he can to free Kushina. She was the only one that can turn this war into his favor. But Orochimaru was stopped. "And who might you be?" he asked. "You talk too much even for a coward," said Arima, as Orochimaru drew the Kusanagi blade. Arima flinched as he saw that blade, so he knew what this is. "Well then, ready to die?" Orochimaru asked, as he latched forward, as Arima pulled his twin blades, and so did the rest of the Uzumakis. Meanwhile, with Naruto, as he saw the man in front of him holding a white sword that was emitting white chakra, Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang. "It's an honor to meet you," said Naruto, as one of his men carried away Ghost. Ghost was badly wounded defending him, and Naruto could only pray to the gods that the beast would be alive. The tide of this battle was already turning in his favor. He already killed those clones that Orochimaru sent after him. "You killed my son," said Sakumo, his voice filled with hatred. "I did." "It's war," said Naruto. "You could have tried to talk to Hiruzen before you attack Kagama's camp and kill my son and the others," said Sakumo. Naruto looked into Sakumo's eyes and he saw only pain. He had heard great tales about this man, that he was a great warrior and an honorable man, and loyal to his village. "It doesn't matter now," said Naruto. "We are enemies, and it will remain that way until one of our village is destroyed. I will do my duty. I suggest you do the same." "Fight well, boy," said Sakumo, as he leaped forward, bringing down his blade, as Naruto brought down his blade as they struck together. As the White Fang pushed, making Naruto fall down to one knee. Before Naruto could drive his hell flames on his blade, he felt lightning hit his foot. As Sakumo, one of his hands were free. As Sakumo knocked Naruto's blade out of his hand with a quick move, as he spun to deliver the killing blow. But Naruto flipped away gracefully. As Sakumo speed through hand sign, water style, Great Water Dragon. Naruto created a monstrous wave of water as three-headed water dragon was coming towards him. As the wave of water crashed into the dragon, drenching the entire area. Dozens of fireballs fly over it, coming towards him at tremendous speed. Shrouding himself in dark chakra, he masked himself on the enemy's side and slowly approached him. Sakumo looked around keenly with his eyes, trying to find his opponent. Naruto was definitely not prepared for Sakumo to spin around and deliver a vertical slash. Naruto screamed as the white blade slashed him, cutting through chunks of flesh and blood spraying everywhere. He jumped away as Sakumo looked at him with a sad look on his face. Not even his armor could stand up to that blade. It ripped through it like paper. The pain in Naruto's body was unimaginable. It was like something was clashing in his veins. It was that sword. Dawn is a power sword that draws its power from a person's dark chakra. A strike contrasts the yin chakra that is strongly within the body. Those two are now clashing against each other. "You must be in unimaginable pain," said Sakumo. Naruto coughed up more blood. As he held back another powerful scream, he felt like someone was burning him from the inside, turning his organs, everything into ashes. His wounds were not healing, as blood seeped out of his body. How did you see me?" Naruto said. He was in his dark cloak. No one except for Hyuga could see him. "I can smell your blood, boy. Hide in the shadows all you want, but I have prepared for this for months. It brings me no joy to take your life, or neither will it bring my son back to life. But I must avenge Kakashi, and destroy you so Konoha can live. Get up and die on your feet," he ordered. His blood and flesh still falling into the sea. Naruto managed to got on his feet, his vision hazy, as he was struggling to hold his blade. Meanwhile, hundreds were fleeing on the Kira ships. Yet it was not yet over. Jiraiya was still here. Orochimaru was still fighting against Arima, and he saw most Uzumakis dead. His mother still trapped in that barrier, trying to get out. Ghost was wounded badly, just to save his wretched life. So many mistakes that he had made, so many flaws, just to reach him to this worthless point. He was stupid, naive, and a fool. He looked up in the sky. Mother. Lord Fort, the clan. You have my dream. Hanzo, show me your evolution. Kisame, I don't care if he's a bastard. Nagato, I'm with you, always. Akeno, be the man you were supposed to be. Konan, rise as a guardian. Those words echoed through his head that all of them told him once. Sakumo narrowed his eyes so he could see that this boy was a fighter to the very end. Naruto raised his blade that was burned in dark green flames as him and Sakumo charged. A thunderous explosion ripped across the sea when the both of them clashed, sending bodies, debris, everything away. Sakumo pushed hard, but Naruto flicked his wrist as a hidden knife came out as he drove it in Sakumo's chest. He bit back the pain as he swung his blade to take off Naruto's head, but Naruto ducked under the swipe. Sakumo then jumped away. Naruto stabbed his blade into the water as steam ran everywhere. They can only focus on their smell right now and their hearing, as they clash in the mist over and over, wounding each other further. Sakumo's wounds increased because Naruto was faster and struck when many opportunities rose. But Naruto suffered more deep wounds because Sakumo was stronger. As Naruto had to jump out of the mist as a pack of ninja dogs came towards him, as he sliced through them as they came upon him, but that gave Sakumo enough time. As Naruto heard a roar, he turned to see Sakumo stand on top of a large, three-headed dog. The thing was large as a giant. He stumbled back, seeing the size of the monster. He didn't have a summon, his only battle partner already been wounded by Orochimaru. Focus, he heard Konan saying in his mind, as he shook his head and focused on the battle. The three-headed dog charged towards Naruto. Naruto raised his left hand up as he closed his eyes, as he allowed himself to become one with the charging beast. Let his rage, its anger, watch over his body. Suddenly, he saw himself on the beach. As he realized he was looking through the dog's eyes, the beast was struggling, trying to overcome this. It was trying to rip apart Naruto in its mind, trying to gain back control. But Naruto remembered everything. Konoha betrayed him. Orochimaru twisted smile. Jiraiya turned against him, remembering his mother being forced to turn into that monster. As it was beast against man, but Naruto won. He overcome the massive beast. Sakumo was thrown off the beast's back as he dropped into the water. He was shocked, as he couldn't move fast enough when his own summon launched for him, grabbing him in his mighty paw as the dog went down and ripped Sakumo apart. The last thing Sakumo saw in this world was his own battle partner, tearing his body to pieces, as Naruto broke the control. The creature, realizing what it done, looked over at Naruto with a pure hateful look, but then it vanished, too ashamed to be here anymore. Naruto dropped to his knees as it was like he was tasting the blood, as he puked up blood from his own mouth, and everything that was in his stomach. There was no more honor left. It was just the battle to kill each other, and there was no way he could defeat Sakumo with such wounded state. It was already done. Now he has to get his mother. He then heard a scream as he rushed towards where his mother was. The battlefield became really silent. Many dead lying on the water. He arrived as he saw the Uzumaki guards lying dead in the water. But Arima was in no sight. Yet his own army was dead. And the enemy force, they were dead as well, or retreating far away by now. Hidan's body was over to the side, but his head was nowhere in sight. It was probably drowning in the water. Someone probably cut it off. He then saw a Konoha ship with people boarding it. Stop! He rushed forward to see his mother bound in chains. He had to save her. He promised his father to save her, but his legs gave out as he collapsed. He then heard his mother screaming out towards him. Naruto, get up! Run, she screamed. Run, she begged. As he looked up to see someone marching towards him. As he got up to his knees, seeing his mother. Mother, he said. He then saw a flash in front of him. He then felt unbearable pain. His eyes looked up to see the twisted smile of Orochimaru. Farewell, Lord Fort. He ripped the sword out of Naruto's chest. As Kushina screamed, but Jiraiya held her back. Naruto tried to search for his sword to defend himself as he saw Orochimaru raising his sword above him to behead him. But he had lost his sword in his haste to reach Kushina. He realized that he failed everyone. He could see his death. "Forgive me," he said with his eyes closed. He then heard the weapon tear through flesh. But it was not his own. As he looked up to see Orochimaru screaming in agony as his blade fell into the sea. His right hand completely sliced off by Arima, who was standing behind him. Orochimaru tried to attack Arima, but Arima ducked and smacked the seal right on Orochimaru's chest and kicked him away. As hellfire consumed Orochimaru, burning him as he screamed out in pain and agony. Naruto was watching everything. His vision was getting darker and darker. "Lord Fort," Arima said. "Mother, I have to save her." Arima looked back. "She's gone." As Naruto felt his body go limp, until he received a harsh slap on his cheek. "You don't get to die like this," said Arima. "Not after showing us. The village. My family. All of us, me, a dream. I have already lost one Kage. I will not lose another." I failed everyone," said Naruto. As Arima heard the disgrace in the boy's voice. "Then get up. Fail again and again until you succeed." Arima picked him up as he brought him towards over. Cast a storm. As Naruto saw a blonde shadow waiting at the beach. "You remind me of her." "Akaino," said Naruto. As Arima hitched a bit, but he kept on running. "Lord Fort, you must live. Not just for our clan and for our justice, but I need your help to bring my lost daughter home. I need her to know that she still has family left in this world." After seeing what happened here, he had to bring her home, as this world was too dangerous. Arima then looked back down. "Lord Fort? Lord Fort!" he shouted. 1 week later, the fourth Hokage, Danzo already knew that he deserved this title. So many friends, subordinates, enemies had to die for him to reach here. Even one of his closest and oldest friends, Hiruzen Sarutobi, he was the last one to die to make Danzo reach his title in the village. He respected the man even if he killed him, because now he stood tall, looking over his village. He was Hokage, not by choice of the people. It was because he had seized the power. Intel about the Uzumaki assassinating the third, and him sending his army to go and wipe out the White Wolf. Yes, that is a code name they have been calling him now, the White Wolf. But he made one mistake. He had too much honor. Turning around, Danzo would look. He knew that Jiraiya was also an honorable man as well, but he needed his power in the upcoming battle. Report, Danzo said. Jiraiya was still loyal, but he did not accept Danzo as a Hokage. But Danzo was one man, and Jiraiya was loyal to the village no matter what. Our coalition attacked as planned, but the White Wolf has his own army hidden. It was on the island. Perhaps the Uzumaki boy was not that of a fool, thought Danzo. Go on, he said. He fought bravely, even though he was outnumbered. He killed 4 of Kira's 7 ninja swordsmen, slaughtered dozens in our army, and also killed Sakumo, said Jiraiya. The last part with great remorse. Danzo was pissed. He gave them such a large army, and yet they still fail. So now they turned against us, believing that we should strive for peace with the Uzumakis and not war. She will pay for that, Danzo said bitterly. While he would not kill a fully fertile Senju, while there were hardly none of them left in Konoha now, he would make her life a living hell, make her deliver healthy Senju babies, and then execute her for treason. Jiraiya wanted to argue, but he couldn't, as Danzo gave him a cold glare. Did you kill her? He asked. I couldn't. Then you are a bigger fool than I thought, said Danzo. But if you want me to spare her life, help me crush all of our enemies. Some of the others were still reluctant, but Jiraiya was Hiruzen's favorite student, and many of the others would come to see him as a true Hokage. Once, Danzo made Jiraiya fall in line, as Danzo knew that no matter what, Jiraiya loved that foolish Senju, so he will not want to see her die. Orochimaru managed to kill the White Wolf, but he had gotten severely injured. He was hanging between life and death right now. And they were betrayed by Kiri. They fleeing on the site of battle. The only good thing was that Kushina was brought back to the village as a prisoner. The White Wolf was dead. His people and his village left leaderless. One less problem for Danzo to worry about. Gather a few of the officers who allow our forces to run like cowards. Cut off their heads and place them on the gate, said Danzo. But, said Jiraiya, Danzo gave him a stern glare. Let it be known that no Konoha ninja should run or retreated unless it is ordered to do so. As Jiraiya just nodded as he walked away. After leaving, one of Danzo's root appeared, as Danzo pulled out a scroll and gave it to him. The White Wolf is dead, his army is currently unaware of his demise. Take a company and put those Uzumakis in their graves once and for all. Bring me a few though, and kill the rest. Yes, Hokage-sama, said the envoy, as he vanished. As Danzo looked over at another scroll, another army that had joined the White Wolf, which he has to crush as well. Yes, Konoha has a true leader now. The rivers of blood will rain. Timeskip, Akeno ride on her white horse. The rains were pouring as she was in the heat rain. She was also crying as they received news, something that made her want to commit suicide. Because all of her dreams were destroyed. Everything was lost. Hearing that the White Wolf was dead, there had been such dangerous rumors floating everywhere for the past entire week, but she refused to believe them. But when the news of Kushina Uzumaki being dragged into chains into Konoha reached her, she knew it was true. Naruto, he was dead. But guys, it'll be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, or know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.